First of all, welcome to Pink Couch Conversations with Carmalita and...
my name is Amber. Amber Burns-Jones. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a birth doula, mother magic maker, mother of 2 sets of twins.
Yes, ma'am.
Gardener, and just holder of my community.
All around badass. So today I wanted to talk about the WAP video and song because I personally believe it is just like a glorious depiction of women empowerment and owning sexuality. And apparently folk have a lot of issues with women when they are in control of their sexuality and they are not modest or they're not portraying a particular idea of womanhood that certain folk believe women should, portray. So I just wanted to see your input, like what you thought of the video, the lyrics, the language, the depiction of women, because you have 3 daughters. At one point they're gonna grow up and be like, Ma, this is what you was listening to growing up, kind of like Uncle Luke and them, like, so y'all was listening to this, Ma?
Yeah, no, I found it really interesting. Kendrick and I had a short conversation about it. He watched the video and listened to the song before I did, and was sharing some of the, I don't even know if you can call it critique, but some of the critiques that are being shared around this work. And one of the things that he said that stuck out to me was, some people are saying that, it's not bad that they're talking about their sexuality and things. It's, but they could have done it in a more, subdued way, or,
Is sexuality to be subdued though?
A more lyrical way. After watching it and thinking about what is likely the overall conversation happening around it is, one, it's okay when men talk about women's bodies, but it's not okay when women talk about their own body and pleasure. There are no men in the video, so how dare you talk about your pleasure and me not be present to bear witness. And I think it's very telling of this deep-seated desire and hate that we have for the Black woman and the Black body, particularly Black women who we interpret to be poor or hood. So there's this fetishizing of, Black women. I mean, it's just, all of this is rooted in misogyny, patriarchy, sexism, and this really deep hate for women owning their pleasure and standing firm in that.
Mm-hmm. The conversation about womanhood and sexuality, it begins in age appropriate ways, as in, how do I see mommy comfortable with herself? How do I see mommy and daddy's interaction? I believe the foundational root of sexuality and how we view ourselves and our own pleasure is, comes from how we're raised. As someone who is raising 3 young women, what do you think your approach is going to be to teaching your girls about sexuality and being comfortable in themselves and not giving men or their partners the say-so over their bodies and or pleasure?
That's such a good question. And I think that is an ever-evolving conversation that Kendrick and I have together about around our parenting philosophy. What does it look like to be a sex positive parent? And I find myself really wrestling with what was what I was indoctrinated into, what I was both covertly and overtly taught around sexuality and pleasure. So there's an unlearning process that is happening at the same time that I'm trying to build the foundation that you're talking about. Okay. So philosophically, this is what I would ideally like to instill in them is the idea that their pleasure is their own and their bodies are theirs. We have these micro conversations around consent, and I'm really intentional about that. Mm-hmm. So I don't require my kids to hug people they don't want to hug. I don't even require them to kiss and hug each other. Mm-hmm. So if Ray goes and hits Rue upside her head, but right afterwards she want to come and say she's sorry, right. I don't do the whole kiss and make up thing. No, you caused harm. And it is not as the person who caused the harm, you do not get the say-so in how restorative justice is deployed in this moment, right? Like, you don't get that say so. Right. So, I mean, I don't say it to them. They're 3. I don't say it like that.
Right, of course.
But that's the subtext of what I am trying to ingrain in them, and just looking at these small opportunities to instill that in them. Years from now, if they go back and look at this video and be like, Mama, what was you watching? I would hope that I am raising children who understand consent, who understand that pleasure and sexuality is not something evil or that needs to be contained or something that has to like not be talked about. Like we clearly talk about their body parts. Right. They're just now starting to notice their little brother's body parts. Mm-hmm. They know, what the names of them are. And I just, more than anything, I just want them to feel free to express themselves in the ways that feel good to them. Mm-hmm. My goal is not to raise obedient children. Mm-hmm. My goal is not to raise children who are in my image, or rather my ideal image. I want to create the environment for their true selves to not take root, but because the root is already there, but to blossom. Okay. In the ways that they see fit and feel most free.
Can you
say answer your question?
Yes. Say more about not wanting to raise obedient children, because that's an idea that I haven't been introduced to before. I love it, but I feel like it's a very healing thing to hear, even to be like, that's right. Like, because, I'm sure you were as well, to taught like to be obedient, to listen to,
sure.
And so it's like, to even hear that, my initial response is sort of rejection, because it's like, but wait, we're supposed to be. And you like, nah, I'm not raising obedient children. Just talk more about that. I love that idea.
Yeah, well, girl, it's still an idea. Like that, it's a constant practice. Okay, we ain't all the way there yet, because there are still moments when they do something, I'll be like, girl, like child of mine. You're like, Mommy, why can't I? Because I said so. So I'm trying to, like I said, this is a constant unlearning. And it's healing for everybody involved. Okay. Yes. But yeah, so when we have this conversation about like good children, bad children, or I can't watch so-and-so because so-and-so don't mind, or so-and-so was bad as hell, they can't come among my house. Right. And so I've been trying to unpack that and these ideas around like, well, what constitutes a good child? Usually when we say that these are children that I tell them to go get me that tissue, they're going to go and do it, no questions asked. And for my children to live into the people that I want them to be, or the people that they want to be, those are typically people who are curious, who ask questions, who push limits, right. Who do not just accept the status quo or the power structures. And I think when we phrase it in that way, where everybody can be like, oh yes, like I want my kids to challenge and, not just trust authority, but how we practice that says the complete opposite. So if my goal is to raise children that are questioning the status quo, that are challenging it, that are not just accepting things as they are and don't have the imagination, or better yet, I limit their imagination of what's possible and what they can do and what it means to what our world can look like. Right. Then I'm going against all of my core values and what I think to be possible. Mm-hmm.